Do you think you know Snow White, the jealous stepmother, the magic mirror, the seven dwarfs, the poisoned apple? The fairy tale you've been told is a lie that's been sanitized over hundreds of years. Originally, this story wasn't crafted to entertain children. It served as a cautionary warning about a danger so real and terrible that people couldn't speak about it directly. Today, we will uncover the disturbing truths hidden within Snow White's story, coded message about actual crimes that Germans would have readily understood. What might surprise you is that the original version collected by the Brothers Grimm didn't feature a stepmother at all. In their 1812 manuscript, the woman who commands Snow White's death, demanding her organs be cut out and delivered as proof, was Snow White's biological mother. Imagine the Grimms writing by candlelight in their study, carefully transcribing tales whispered to them by elderly peasant women. In the manuscript preserved in the Berlin State Library, the German word die Mutter appears, not stepmother, simply Mutter meaning mother. This biological mother orders her huntsman to retrieve her 7-year-old daughter's lungs and liver. When he returns with what she believes are Snow White's organs, the text states, the cook had to boil them in salt, and the wicked woman ate them up, believing she was consuming her own child's essence. This detail was no transcription error. Across Europe, from Russia to Ireland, folklorists have documented similar stories of maternal cannibalism, reflecting genuine fears about what mothers might do to daughters who threatened their position. The Grimms later changed this detail to create a stepmother, making the tale more palatable. But they couldn't erase its true origins, a warning about infanticide and the very real dangers young girls faced within their own households. The horror doesn't end with familial jealousy. The Grimms captured a reality where daughters weren't just victims of jealousy. They were pawns in a ruthless game of power, wealth, and survival. Historical context reveals that in the German territories from which this tale originated, young noblewomen like Snow White were often political pawns, their worth dictated by their beauty and marriage alliances. For instance, consider Margaretha von Waldeck, documented in Bavarian court records from the 16th century. At just 13, she fell ill shortly after her betrothal to a powerful duke, a match that would elevate her above her mother's status. Court notes, discovered centuries later, hinted at mercury poisoning. Her mother stood to gain not only Margaretha's dowry, but also the right to negotiate a new alliance, and no investigation was ever conducted. These weren't isolated cases, but patterns whispered about in castle corridors, creating an atmosphere where every young noblewoman understood that her emerging beauty could mark her for death. The mirror in the story was not merely a magical object. It was a genuine symbol of status. Elaborate mirrors in noble households represented not only vanity, but also political influence. The Queen's mirror declaring Snow White the fairest wasn't a compliment. It was a pronouncement of death and a threat to the Queen's power. Then there's the huntsman ordered to collect Snow White's lungs and liver, which carried significant meaning. In medieval German folklore, lungs were thought to encapsulate the breath of life and youth, while the liver was believed to house the soul's vitality. The Queen doesn't just seek Snow White's death, she aims to consume the very essence of her child's beauty and youth. After Snow White's escape, she doesn't find safety, but instead enters servitude with 7 men in the forest. The Grimms referred to them as dwarfs, but folklore historians unearthed a more unsettling truth. In the regions where the Grimms collected these tales, records from the 16th and 17th centuries reveal the extensive use of child labor in mining operations. Children were sent into mines due to their ability to navigate tight tunnels. They were called kleinen Bergleute, or small mountain people. Imagine children no older than Snow White herself, crawling through small passages filled with toxic fumes. In this context, when Snow White arrives at the cottage and begins cooking and cleaning for these 7 small men, contemporary audiences would have recognized this arrangement for what it was: domestic servitude traded for survival amongst society's most exploited children. The 3 murder attempts that follow reveal escalating predatory behavior from the Queen. First, she arrives disguised as a peddler woman, selling laces that suffocate Snow White when laced too tightly. When that fails, she returns with a poisoned comb and finally the poisoned apple. The apple, red on one side and white on the other, is deliberately crafted. The queen eats the white half to prove its safety before watching as Snow White bites into the red side. The apple connects to chilling historical practices in medieval Germany. There were documented cases of Judas fruit freshly injected with poison to ensure a slow death, allowing the poisoner to establish an alibi. Listeners of the time understood that her crime had violated the natural order, demanding profound retribution. In a scholarly discovery, Maria Totter, a Harvard folklorist, noted the Brothers Grimm labeled this story as a Mahnung und Warnung. This tale was not just an entertainment piece. It was a cautionary story encoding real dangers faced by young girls, preserving knowledge of crimes too horrible to articulate directly. The magic mirror reflects deeper truths about the queen's psyche, her malignant jealousy, and her inability to see her daughter as anything but a rival. With each detail, the numbers, the actions, even the characters, the Grimms wove a narrative rich with implications. 7 dwarfs, 3 murder attempts, and a bifurcated apple aren't random choices. They carry specific legal and spiritual meanings that would have resonated with audiences of the time. Ultimately, the tale of Snow White is not merely a whimsical fairy tale, but a profound allegory of beauty, power, and survival in a world fraught with danger. This story challenges us to reflect on the historical realities faced by women, reminding us that the shadows of the past often hide truths that still resonate today. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to support our work. Never miss an upload. Like this vid, drop a comment, and share it with others to help us grow this historical community.